Hi, and welcome to Simply Happy Conversations. I'm Narelle King, and in today's solo episode, I'll be sharing my 2-year podcasting journey. Can't believe it's been 2 years. The impact it's had on me, the most downloaded episodes, favourite parts of guest conversations, and where to from here. Welcome to Simply Happy Conversations. I'm Narelle King, wellness and organisational coach and Yin and Nidra yoga instructor. This podcast will help you create more time using organisational strategies so that you can start to simplify your life and prioritise your health. I'll be sharing conversations with other health and organisational experts and solo episodes with tips to help you simplify your life and prioritise your health. Thanks for joining me for today's solo episode. I'm going to be talking about my 2-year podcasting journey, the impact it's had on me, the most downloaded episodes, favourite parts of guest conversations, and where to from here. Start with why I started a podcast. I was writing blogs for my website and it was very time consuming, especially the SEO behind the scenes. I had a writer, so I would write all the dot points and notes that I wanted and links, and then she would put it into beautiful paragraphs for me. And she was actually at university and she finished up her degree and was taking a job. So she wasn't doing any more writing, like copywriting for my blog. So I had to find another way of communicating that was playing to my strengths, because writing is definitely not my top strength. Talking is definitely a lot easier for me than sitting and writing. It's just more time consuming. It takes me a lot to get my brain into action and to get the words down on paper. I decided to then look into a podcast. I actually had the course from Carly Nemo about how to podcast. So I was like, I might as well go and have a look at it and see if it looks like something I'd be able to do. And just being ADHD brain, I was able to hyper focus, and just the way her course was set out, it was really small steps walking you through everything. I literally just started straight away. One part I did outsource was the music and just putting the 3 episodes together to release them together. So I actually got Lyndall from Podcast VA to do that part for me. But the rest of it, I actually set up myself, and it was definitely, I highly recommend both of those businesses, and I'll include the links in the show notes for you. So that was 2 years ago. And so I released, my first 3 episodes straight away. And then I had some videos that I'd done online as interviews on YouTube. So a couple of them I repurposed and used those for the podcast for the first few episodes. And then I just did a solo episode in between each of those. And when I think back to the start, it was really hard to do this in your wardrobe, so it's not very glamorous, and you're talking to yourself. You're looking at maybe notes, which I do. I have some notes on my wall, otherwise I'll just ramble. And so I try to stick to the notes. I've got used to it now, but initially I think I would stop and go back and restart so many times. Whereas now I know I can press the pause button and I can then restart that sentence and then just come back and edit that sentence out that maybe I, messed up a word or, stumbled across my words. I've got into the hang of it and I know a little bit more about it, and I feel more comfortable doing the podcast. It's just like any new skill. It takes time, and then you get the shortcuts and you work out what works best for you. Do record it in my wardrobe. And the main reason for that is it's great for your sound quality because it's a really small space. Our wardrobe actually has carpet in it, as well as all the clothes. So the clothes dampen the sound. I sort of fill my wardrobe also with cushions, and that also helps to increase the sound quality. When I have recorded with guests out in my lounge, which is wooden floorboards, lots of glass windows, the sound quality is definitely not as good as when I record it in my bedroom and just put up a frame around me so that the background is the standard same background. The quality is so much better because of the carpet on the ground. I need dot points so that I don't go off on a tangent. And sometimes I will go off on a tangent and I just have to go and edit that section out. But I've got used to that process now, so I don't mind going back, listening, and I do a first edit and then I send it to my VA and she helps me do the second edit and add all the other parts to it. There are lots of or I say so when it's trying to help my brain to think of something. It's like when it goes blank, I'll use the word so and then I'll pause. And so I have to take all those out because that would be terrible to have to listen to all the time. Sometimes I'll repeat words while my brain is thinking. So it's actually a great exercise to go and or record yourself and then listen back, because it gives you an insight into how your brain works, what it does when it's trying to think. Because I probably wasn't aware that I repeated words and I used the word so instead of to help my brain give it a bit of a space to actually think. So to help me get started, there was two things. The first one was I did do those interviews on YouTube. So that was before I even started the actual podcast itself, just to give me a feel if this is actually what I wanted to do. And then I started with 10 episodes because I thought that was doable. And so I did, the first season was 10 episodes and it was 5 of me and guests. So that meant alternate weeks. One was a guest, one was a solo. And that to me felt really doable. And then I sort of took a break and thought about the next season. To be honest, at the start, I sort of tried to theme my seasons, whereas now it's so hard sometimes to get guests to line up with your own schedule. So now it doesn't really have a theme. Sometimes I'll try and do my solo in regards to the same as what the guest has talked about. But you will notice that now when I can get a guest, I'm just so grateful for their time that it's not going to worry about the theme. And I just love to be able to share their wisdom with you. This last season though, I've been going since October. So what I did is I went back and found my favorite tips in some of the most downloaded guest episodes. And with the help of Anne, we cut them into small little segments. And that gave us roughly about 10 episodes. And that was when I was doing my yoga teacher training. And I knew that I didn't have a lot of capacity. I was pretty much working the days I wasn't at yoga and working the rest. And that went on for about 5 weeks. So I knew I needed a little bit of leeway. And this is what helped give me that little bit of space. And I think it was great and really useful to have those beautiful favorite tips. And I'll probably do something similar again going into the Christmas season. My guest conversations are unedited. They're in my bedroom, as I said before, because of the carpet. And I love recording them. I love seeing the guests. So I actually have a video when I'm doing it. And so far, every guest has been happy for those to be videoed and then uploaded to YouTube. And so you can watch those over on YouTube if you prefer a visual rather than audio. And that's the other reason. It's like giving people who don't particularly like just listening, who prefer to watch, that opportunity to see some of the guest conversations. At the minute, I am not recording my solo because I do have pauses. Sometimes there's my family in my background. They might hum or sing and whistle and they don't realize I'm maybe in the wardrobe, or they've just forgotten if they've gone out and then they come home. Generally, I try to do it when they're out. When they come home, they make a lot of noise. It is difficult trying to find time and space when no one's really around to record podcasts. That's why I do not film myself doing the solo, because it's just not the same as a guest conversation. And my family are really respectful when I am speaking to a guest and try to keep down the noise, and they don't use the TV next to the bedroom. There's lots of juggling that goes into doing a podcast, especially with a guest. So this podcast doesn't just get put together by me. I don't have the time, space, and I probably don't really have the knowledge either. I could learn it, but I appreciate Anne, who's my beautiful VA in the Philippines. She edits every episode. She adds the intro and the outro of each episode. She makes it go out every Thursday and does all the things to do with the social media, the notes, the links, attaches it to my website, sends the guests the email in regards to when it's going to go out. Without her, it wouldn't be at 90 episodes and it wouldn't be as regular. So I'm really grateful and thankful for her and all the work that she does behind the scenes. Having the podcast, it's impacted me in various ways. As I just said, it's really time consuming, but it's relatively easy because I'm using my strength of using my voice instead of having to write. I write dot points and notes, but that's quite easy for me to do. I'm definitely more confident about talking in public about organization and yoga from doing the podcast. I've not been as scared of being on other people's podcast or even talking on the radio now, thanks to Loretta at Pulse FM, because she's asked me to come on several times. By having this podcast, it's definitely helped me with my confidence to be able to do that. I love connecting with people and giving advice. And so this is a way of sharing advice and reaching a huge audience. So the downloads are from all over the world. And thank you to all of you who listens in all of these countries. Obviously, Australia is the biggest amount of downloads, but followed by the US. Then there's India, the UK, New Zealand, Canada, Singapore, the Philippines, United Arab Emirates, Iran, South Africa, and then Europe. And Europe is broken up into several countries, but that's the next biggest one. Thank you to all of you for listening and also sharing these episodes with other people. This is a way of sharing tips and information so that anyone, anywhere can get started on organization or even prioritizing their health. I'm so grateful for you for listening. So my favorite part of guest conversations is I learn so much and hear it from amazing people who are doing amazing things all around the world and in their zone of genius as well. The majority of the guests I've maybe met or I've connected with on social media. And there are some that actually reach out to me and ask to come on the podcast, which I absolutely love. But otherwise, I'll reach out to them if there's something that I've just loved about their product or their service, or I've used their service. And I think that it's going to be really valuable for my audience. So if you're someone who's listening and you've got a product or a service could help people with their health or around organization, please send me an email or a DM on social media. I'd love to hear from you. So again, I'd just love to thank all of the guests and their time and sharing their wisdom over the past 2 years. I know some of them continue to listen. So the most downloaded episodes that are solo episodes was episode 6, which is planning tips to reduce mental load. I share like 6 tips for you and your family to help reduce your mental load, to create more time and feel less overwhelmed with everything you do. So I share some examples of how you can implement these tips in your life. Second most downloaded was episode 10, and I share my yin yoga journey, what yin yoga is, and its benefits of regularly practicing yin yoga for your mind and body. I also talk about Eastern and Western perspectives on yin yoga and the energetic benefits. Number 3 most downloaded was episode 50. I share about being formally identified as autistic, what autism is, the process, the challenges, and how it's become my superpower. I also share resources and support suggestions as well. Number 4 most downloaded episode was episode 3, which was 3 areas of wellness to improve your health. I talk about the 3 circles of wellness that I use in my own life and with clients to decide what area is most important to focus on first. So I share ways to identify if you need to get organized, or maybe it's you need more energy, or maybe it's a challenge around your focus. So number 5 most downloaded episode, which is a really recent episode, episode 79, was about gamification to help with decluttering and tidying up. I talk about what gamification is, how it's adding game elements to an activity and make it more enticing. I share some fun and engaging gamification ideas to help you and your family with cleaning, tidying up and decluttering. And then when it comes to guest conversations, what I have noticed is that the most downloaded conversations are the ones that focus on ADHD. So obviously a lot of my listeners either have ADHD, maybe work with people with ADHD, or have children or family members. So those most downloaded episodes are like Sharon from The Functional Family, Caroline from Outside the Box, Linda from OK Therapy, and Susie from Lilo Wellness. And then also my conversations with Loretta Hart from Pulse FM that I have reshared onto my podcast And I'm so grateful for her because I love going there to chat with her. So that's a different format. It's her asking me questions on the radio, which then I've shared on the podcast. And so you can hear us just chatting about certain topics. At the moment, I'm happy to continue a mix of solo and guest conversations. The podcast isn't going anywhere. It's going to continue to stay the same. But if there's something you'd like me to talk about or a guest, reach out and let me know. I'd really appreciate if you could rate and leave a review because it helps others find it. Otherwise, you can share it with someone who you think might be interested. Thanks so much for joining me for my 90th episode and listening to Simply Happy Conversations. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Simply Happy Conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, then I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a review. This helps others find it who are also looking for tips and organisational strategies to simplify their life and prioritise their health. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss future episodes. You can also connect with me over at simplyhappy.com.au. I'd like to acknowledge the Wathaurong people of the Kulin Nation on which this podcast is recorded as the traditional custodians of the land. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.